got his cranium catapulted across Daly Plaza. She was also murdered in Washington, D.C. by, they pinned it on a African-American guy who they said was some type of thief or something, but many people suspect that Mary Pinchot Meyer, like Marilyn Monroe, might have been privy to certain information that did them in. And yeah, as you noted, it appears that both JFK and RFK were intimate with Marilyn, and all of them are gone. All of them died in very violent, well, not Marilyn, but everybody else died in pretty violent ways.
When it comes to the UFO, what do we call it? A UFO clique, clan, club? Going back 20 years ago, I think that the UFO community had a lot more credibility when I first started this show. Now,
me too.
Now it's like they're a bunch of yahoos. They remind me now of the CB radio clubs of the 70s. And there doesn't seem to be anybody out there with a lot of credibility that you can actually go to and say, all right, what is your opinion, and make sense of it. I think that, and this is just my opinion, that with the internet, ufology has fallen apart.
It's funny you should say that. I write for UFO magazine, so I'm kind of a UFO pundit, and I dip my toes in those waters, and I wrote an article a couple issues back called Ufology's Jersey Shore, which kind of dealt with this issue, because a lot of the younger or whoever folks that got involved in it, it's this mentality of, a lot of good things have come out of the internet, but on the other hand, with the social media, I think in that the reality TV mentality, it's more of people trying to pump themselves up as personalities, not really doing the serious field research or that ufologists did in the past. I think there's still some good people, but the signal gets drowned out by all the noise. I'll send that article.
I'd really appreciate that, Alan. Adam. And you know what? I think something else that is crushing the signal. I think it's those tinfoil hats they wear.
Well, you have a spectrum. You have the far out people in ufology that they're wedded. I entertain some pretty interesting theories about ufology, but I keep my mind open. I'm an open-minded skeptic, and I've had some strange experiences in my life, but there's, with the disclosure movement and people wedded to ETs as our friends, it's once you pin yourself down and, that's what you quote-unquote believe in, then it's just there's no room for growth and entertaining other ideas.
I had Stephen Bassett on the show a couple of months ago when he was doing his online petition with the White House, and it got canceled because there weren't enough people that were interested. And then and I asked him at that point, prior to it being learned that the White House had dropped the petition because it didn't get the numbers that it required to stay active. I said, what happens if it fails? Is this a signal to you that people have lost interest in ufology? And I can't get a direct answer from these people.
Well, Stephen Bassett will never give up. He has a lot of passion about the subject, but if you look throughout the history of ufology, every decade there's some type of they call it disclosure now, but in previous eras it was, the truth. We need the truth from the government. They're hiding something. Sometimes I suspect that, perhaps they are hiding things. Maybe it's more about covert technology.
Exactly.
But I think they're more. They're probably as confounded by some of the stranger UFO reports as we are. It's a mystery to them as well. And yeah, kind of the party line of disclosure is that, yeah, they're sitting on the information about back-engineered craft, and when all of this is released and we know about our pact with the aliens and we'll all have free energy and everything will be good. And, as far as not drumming up enough interest, people are more concerned about the state of the economy and these type of things. Once that gets better, maybe, we can get fired up about ET disclosure again.
If there is such a project as reverse engineering, wouldn't we be more advanced when it came to space flight?
You would think so.
Yeah.
What don't we know about, though? I often wonder what's going on.
That's just like saying that the ETs brought Tang to Earth. Give me a break. And it seems that when there's anything that is a technological breakthrough, it has to be the aliens, because we're not smart enough to do it. And I think that this is a bunch of bunk. We don't give ourselves enough credit for our technological advances.
Yeah. I hear you. I've had some strange experiences. My theory is more that, if you look once again through history, there's sightings of strange things, the little fairy lore, the little green people, and I think there's perhaps, there could be what they call window areas. Occultists call them gateways, where there's interdimensional critters here. And when we see them, it's kind of a symbiotic thing, and we translate kind of what they are. In the 1800s, you had airships.
Yes. As
the technology evolved, then you started seeing the saucers and the UFOs. And during those early days of the sightings, they were coming from Venus and Mars. When we realized that really wasn't probable, then they started coming from Alpha Centauri and other places. I think at the at the core of the phenomena, there's something strange happening.
Tell me, do you really think that Kenneth Arnold saw UFOs, or do you think that Kenneth Arnold saw experimental aircraft?
Well, UFO is an unidentified flying object, so he saw something he couldn't identify.
Right.
It's so long ago, it's hard for me to say what he saw. It could have been, I lean more towards experimental aircraft. Obviously, there's never been any proof that we've been visited by ETs.
So why does the public gravitate towards these kind of stories?
Well, it's the mystery of it. Obviously, we that's what excites folks. That it could, what's behind all of this? Are extraterrestrials visiting? It's like a detective novel, I think. At least that's what initially attracted me to these stories. As you dig a little deeper into it, when I was young, in my late teens, 20s, that was the framework I had to go with. They were ETs, but as you look in, to any subject more deeper, you could say, well, in a lot of cases, experimental covert aircraft. Sometimes it's people going. One thing with abductions and all of these, they all seem to be related to trance states.
Yeah.
You could put people in the hypnotic trance state, or even at the when they do the abduction regression, or a lot of the early contactees. A lot of times, it's interesting to note that they went into a trance state, or they were meditating before they saw these things. And so,
let me ask you.
There's no simple answer.
What's your take on the Roswell crash? Or no, let me rephrase that. The Roswell incident.
There's a lot of theories out there. I don't think it was E.T. It could have, that cover of the E.T. probably gets thrown out there a lot to cover up things.
Right.
Obviously, like Area 51. What was going out there? Is it some type of toxic dump? I've heard in recent years. Out in Dulce, the air base there, and the cattle mutilation. Was there some radiation storage going on? So I suspect the government was testing something. They talk about those mogul balloons out in
New Mexico,
Roswell, and I've heard other theories. Once again, there's been no physical evidence we've ever, capturing Bigfoot. Until we see that, I would say this as well. If an ET landed in my backyard today, I would suspect I was being manipulated. There's a lot of stories we could talk about MK Ultra with the whole MyLab thing, where it's a cover for mind control stuff.
It's so strange when you actually talk to the people who are dead believers in Roswell, New Mexico, Area 51, this, that, and the other thing. Oh my gosh, this plane doesn't have any tail numbers. It has no ID. It's got to be a government conspiracy, black ops, the men from black, blah, blah, blah. But now I was talking to Kevin Randall last month, who was a diehard believer in the Roswell incident. Now he is saying that the majority of UFO investigators who once believed that it was a UFO are now looking at some very interesting evidence that takes the onus off of extraterrestrials and puts it onto experimental craft.
Sure took them a long time to come around.
Well,
that was 1947,
wasn't it?
Yeah.
Hey, what can I tell you? At least, they're looking into it, and we're going to be having him on in the future to talk about their latest discoveries. And, my question is, what's going to happen to Stanton Friedman?
Yeah, he has a lot invested in that, but, he has his built-in audience. I have a certain amount of respect for Stanton Friedman. He's not going to go away anytime soon. You have this whole... still have that scene of the UFO conferences and MUFON and those groups, and you always have that hardcore audience. It's dwindling. It's not what it once was, at any of these. And I write about that in the book.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that when we come back from this commercial break. Adam Gorightly, thanks very much for joining us. Always great talking to you. Adam Gorightly's website is www.adamgorightly.com, and Adam and I will be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X Zone from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. My name is Rob McConnell. Don't go away.
3 men with a goal and a pact that they'd hold and a promise till the day that they...
With each new extreme weather event or terrorist act, it becomes increasingly obvious that we live in uncertain and challenging times. We all buy car insurance. Why not collapse and catastrophe insurance? Matthew Stein, an MIT-trained engineer and green builder, has written 2 outstanding books to help people prepare, plan for, and deal with everything from minor situations lasting a few days to full-on collapse. Matt's first book, When Technology Fails, is a manual for self-reliance, sustainable living, and surviving the long emergency. This massive book covers the gamut from first aid and emergency preparedness to alternative healing, renewable energy, primitive living skills, and 18th century technologies that could be critical to your comfort and survival in a long-lasting crisis. Matt's second book, When Disaster Strikes, is a comprehensive emergency preparedness handbook and survival guide. When Disaster Strikes is an essential item for every family's go bag. Both books are available at all usual sources. There's a wealth of totally free information posted at whentechfails.com, and author-signed copies may be purchased at mattstein.com. That's www.whentechfails.com and www.mattstein.com.